so who are your favorite vocalists?
Floor Jansen from Nightwish is probably one of my favorite vocalists, but I've been a fan of hers for many years, since before. I think she's probably, her and Anneke van Giersbergen from The Gathering are two of my favorite female, hard rock, heavy metal vocalists, for sure, without a doubt.
Okay, great. Okay, so you're going to play in Japan for the first time in May.
Yes.
So what can the Japanese fans expect from White Empress's concert?
Extremely intense, powerful, epic show. The intensity live is so, this music was really written with the intention of playing live, and we plan to tour for like another year off this record and before we make another one. And the reason is because it comes across so intense live, and just the way the music is arranged, the way the parts are, it hits so heavy, and I think that the Japanese audience will be pleasantly surprised. We're going to put on a really great show. We're going to do some special things too with the set that will be unique for Japan, that we're adding just for this. So it'll be a very epic, intense visual, and I also like to involve the audience quite a bit as well. So
what kind of visual? Is it theatrical?
It's more the band itself is visual. I mean, we don't really do any cheesy theatrics. We really want to avoid, there is a line between, at least in the States, people have this line between serious and silly.
Yeah,
it's not too much in Europe, really. They don't have that. But we don't want to cross the line into silly. So we try to make it serious, and it's very theatrical just by the nature of the fact that we're all dressed up. We have a lot of lighting and backdrops and all of that. The stage is very well set, but I don't do any coordinated anything. I like to keep it raw to a point. Kind of like how all these years, even though Iron Maiden has a big show, Bruce Dickinson still does what he wants to do. He runs where he wants to run, and he does this. And I think that keeps it genuine. I've seen a lot of bands with very choreographed shows, and I actually liked the band better before they choreographed their shows, because it was more genuine. So we're trying to stay raw and keep this. Part of this is we really like the raw punk rock, gritty thing as well. Even though we're a very theatrical band, we also like things to be genuine and raw. I mean, and especially for me as the front person, I like to be able to do whatever I want, depending on what the audience is like. I change what I do based on the feedback I get from them.
Okay, so how do you reproduce those symphonic elements live? Do you play to the backtrack?
Yeah, usually they're backtracked. For this Japan run, our keyboard player will be with us though, and he is the one who wrote all the symphonic, and partially there's 90 tracks I think of that stuff, so we won't, some of it will still be backtracked just by the nature of one person can't play all those parts.
That's the only way to
So he'll be playing though a lot of the parts, the main parts himself of course, but we do have tracks, and it also helps us though because then everything's very tight, everything's played to a metronome, but that's the only thing we track. I mean, all my vocals are live otherwise, everything else is live, and we're very adamant about that. I would never want to have tracked, I don't lip sync, I sing, I do it live, and I do it all live, and I do it also to show that I can do it as well, since there's so much different stuff that I do. So we try to keep it raw as well. So the symphonic stuff the backtrack is more out of necessity, because it's so grandiose and there's so many tracks. So we'd have to have a full orchestra and a choir to replicate it all.
Maybe 10 keyboardists.
Yeah, it'd be too much, yeah.
Okay, so in Japan you were going to play with BELPHEGOR, pretty much extreme black metal band.
Yes.
But I think probably for your style it's really difficult to find the bands to tour with, because we talked about the pigeonholing, because your style is so peculiar, so different. So maybe is it a little bit hard to find the bands to tour with who have the same vision, or musically, or.
Well, we know that we don't fit into any subgenre, so we are totally aware of that, and We don't find it difficult because, honestly, because we don't fit into a subgenre, it has opened us up to a lot of touring opportunities that we might not have had. So, you know, we can go out with a band like BELPHEGOR and it works. We could also play with other genre type of metal bands and it works. You know, in the States we play with all different genre metal bands and it doesn't matter, like everything from death metal to black metal to opera metal to sort of like pop metal, because the fans are so varied themselves, you know. They don't come with a preconceived subgenre for us. So they're accepting of this variety. They realize that they'll see us with a different artist. And I think that's cool because it makes it flexible for us. We can go out with a variety of bands, whereas, you know, you have a band like BELPHEGOR, you know, and they have a specific market and they're limited to that market. They can't go out with, you know, certain types of bands and go over well. And so I think that's advantageous for us. And so far it's been very good.
So now the fans are getting more and more open-minded because now it's the 21st century.
Yeah, definitely. I think most of the metal scene is tired. I mean, most of the metal fans are really, really tired. They're really tired of the same stuff. They've been hearing the same stuff for the last 30 years.
Yeah, yes.
You know, actually more like 40 years we're going on. And I think, you know, the same stuff has already been done to death, and the metal scene is so desperate for fresh, something original, that they've really jumped on board to us because it's so fresh to them. They're not listening to the same, you know, thrash that they've been listening to for 25, 30 years. They're listening to a 2015 band with original ideas and something different, you know. And I think that's what they like.
Okay, great. So far, with which bands have you toured?
We've played very few shows, so we've only played with local bands from Wisconsin.
Okay, so you're from Minnesota.
I'm from Wisconsin, yes, but the band, a lot of some of the people are from Minnesota.
Okay, what is the metal scene in Minnesota like?
In the Midwest there, it's very, very cold, so it's people really love heavy metal. It's just like Scandinavia. It's the same weather, similar weather. And the kids, they just love metal there. It's just a great place to play metal. The scene is very strong there, and so the shows, when we play there, are always completely full and sold out, and because they just love their heavy metal there. And there's a lot of local metal bands, just a lot of stuff going on, and they're very supportive in the scene as well, because they're just really excited to have something heavy to rally around.
Would you recommend some good local bands?
Well, when we go out for the U.S. run before we come to Japan, we're going to play with a couple of bands. One band is from Wisconsin, and they're called The Faith Hills Have Eyes. And they're going to be playing with us, and then also a band from Kansas City, Missouri called Black Box Warning.
So are there any very original band coming out of the scene, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there are, sure.
Okay, great. Okay, so what about your future plan after the Japan show? Do you have any specific plan for White Empress?
Well, our plan is we'd like to tour off of this record for at least another year. We've just barely scratched the surface with what we can do with it, and next year we'd like to hit all the European festivals and all that before we try to put out another record. We don't feel that we've done hardly anything with this record so far, so we'd like to, I mean, it just came out at the very end of September to the very beginning of October, so it hasn't had much time yet, so we really want to continue to push it and to continue to work on that, and then concentrate on making a second record, which we'll make differently than we did this one.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so are you taking the same pattern, the same direction for the future, or?
I mean, yeah, I mean, of course, the concept and everything will be the same, and the same musicians and everything, so it will certainly be similar, but it's really important that bands grow and change over the course of their career, and that you don't put out the same record again, time and time again. So it's very important to us to not be repetitive, but we feel that We have a lot of growth potential in this band and a lot of potential to evolve this concept over time. We feel like the White Empress concept is really unique and that it can grow and change, and so for the next record we'll be getting together to work on the music, and which we didn't this time. We were all recording at a distance, and so it will be different considerably, but it's so far ahead I don't know yet.
Okay, great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Okay, for the last, could you give the message to the Japanese fans, maybe to the camera?
Sure. Hi everybody in Japan, this is Mary from White Empress. We can't wait to come tour here in May, and we're ready to give you an amazing, intense show. We'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much.